The following excerpt of an interview with leading director Steven Spielberg about his new alien movie, Disclosure Day, is offered under the fair use provision of the U.S. Copyright Act, Title 17, Section 107, courtesy the New York Times Company, 2026. All rights are reserved by the Times.
You sound very much like you believe aliens exist. That is what I'm getting from you in this conversation. What would the younger Spielberg have thought, listening to you now as such a believer that this is what actually exists in the universe?
Well, the younger me wouldn't have been exposed to the incredible plethora of visual documentation of what's been going on for 50 years. Close Encounters, you remember, I made it 50 years ago. Next year will be the actual, 50th year of its release in theaters. It's just the circumstantial evidence wasn't there when I made Close Encounters in 1976. It came out in 77. It just wasn't there. It's there now, and it's compelling, and it's convincing. And I called Close Encounters in 1996 when I talked to the press. I called it science speculation. I wouldn't call it science fiction. But also I was of a mind to state seeing is believing. And until I see something myself, and why I have not seen a UFO, I don't understand why they haven't come to me yet. I mean,
Do you think they've seen your movies?
Come on, probably not. But I mean, kind of like I feel like their agent. And yet I haven't even seen 10% of flyover. So I have not had any sightings whatsoever. However, having said that, so much of the believers, I now believe the believers.
True crime.
Sex.
Political conspiracy.
Celebrity gossip.
Murder.
UFOs.
Crooked officials.
The occult. Assassination.
Courtroom drama. Rape.
Corporate scams. Scandal sheets. Hello, everyone. My name is Thad Helsley, and welcome to Scandal Sheet. And today, we are returning to the topic of UFOs, or, as the government likes to call them, UAPs. And UFOs and their extraterrestrial pilots are back, and they are bigger than ever before. And to help us chase flying saucers, I'm joined by my E.T. Buster co-host, Anuradha. Anuradha, how's it going?
Going well. I am excited to chat through this. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting episode today.
Okay, good. And we are also joined by a very dear friend and collaborator of mine that I have known longer than probably either of us want to say. And her resume is longer than my arm. I mean, she is a filmmaker, a television producer, college professor, book author, podcaster, and much more. And this is her first time as a guest on this pod. And her name is Maria Barnes. Welcome to the podcast, Maria.
Thank you, Thad. Thank you, Anuradha.
Maria, I just blew through your resume. Do you want to, we're going to get to the aliens, but is there anything additional you wanted to tell us about yourself?
Not really. I'm pretty retired now. So.
Okay.
Taking care of my husband. What can I say?
Okay, no worries. And last but certainly not least, we are also joined by our perennial artificial intelligence engine, Bernice. Bernice, how are you?
I'm fine. So we are doing UFOs again today? I cannot understand why you humans believe any intelligent being would want to come to a dying planet populated by idiots. What could possibly be their motivation? But anyway, I'll start us off with a joke. Have you heard the one about the flying saucer? Never mind. It's over your head.
Maria, Anuradha, let me set this up a bit. The White House has just released a huge number of previously top secret videos and documents from the DIA, the CIA, the FBI, and the DOD, every conceivable alphabetic acronym, all related to what they call UAPs, which is their acronym for unidentified anomalous phenomena, replacing UFOs, but I still like UFOs. And then, by apparent coincidence, a new film by Steven Spielberg just came out a couple of days ago that goes into a vast conspiracy between extraterrestrials and various world governments. But before we get started, Bernice, can you give us a quick summary on when UFOs and aliens from other planets became popular?
Certainly. The modern belief in UFOs and extraterrestrial visitors evolved through several major cultural milestones that moved the idea from fringe speculation into mainstream popular culture. First, the Roswell incident. It began in July 1947 near Roswell, when the United States military recovered debris from what it initially described as a flying disc before quickly changing its explanation to a weather balloon. The incident later became the cornerstone of UFO mythology. By the 1970s and 1980s, claims emerged that the government had recovered an alien spacecraft and even extraterrestrial bodies, fueling decades of conspiracy theories and allegations of a government cover-up. 1968 The publication of Chariots of the Gods introduced the ancient astronaut theory to a mass audience. The book argued that extraterrestrials had visited Earth in ancient times and influenced human civilizations by helping build monuments such as the pyramids and inspiring religious traditions. While archaeologists overwhelmingly rejected the claims as pseudoscience, the book became an international bestseller. In 1977, the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind transformed public perceptions of aliens. Unlike earlier films that often portrayed extraterrestrials as invaders, they were depicted as mysterious, intelligent, and largely benevolent beings seeking communication with humanity. During the following decades, books, documentaries, and television shows such as The X-Files blended UFO reports with government conspiracy narratives. Polls have consistently shown that large numbers of people believe extraterrestrial life exists and that governments might be concealing evidence.
So, Anuradha, let me start with you. Have you ever had a close encounter with a UFO or any extraterrestrial life?
It depends. Do I want the men in black coming to my house and freaking flashing me with a little?
I
No.
don't know. Will Smith is cute.
Well, it's so crazy because they actually say that those people exist. And it like kind of freaks me out a little bit, but and there's been photos of them and they actually do wear black, but they look a little funky. So, but I actually have not. I mean, weird stuff happens all the time, but I can't really say that I've had any kind of encounter where it would make me feel like it's a UFO or an alien. I've had like encounters where I've felt like maybe it's like an angel or like a past like loved one, but I haven't actually, felt like it's like an alien.
So
But
you're
what do I know?
saying a ghost or a poltergeist versus an alien. Those are
Yeah,
different things.
yeah, like I mean, and again, I don't really know a ton, but I would feel like if it was like an alien, maybe the experience would be slightly different, whereas like what I have felt has been like, warming, loving, like someone that I feel loves me is like near me. So that's just my thought.
Okay, yeah. Well, that is different than somebody landing in a spaceship in your front yard and coming out and saying, "Take me to your leader," whatever. So now, Maria, the reason we invited Maria is that for many years she has courted and shared detailed theories with people like me and other friends about extraterrestrial life on this planet and their possible collaborations or influence on human governments. And Maria, in the past, you were always reluctant to go public, but you did agree to come on the podcast here today. What are you comfortable telling us about your theories and how you arrived at them?
Well, I guess I'll just start with how I arrived at that, and that's through experience. The first time I ever saw, or we ever saw, because I was with my family in a car, we were in Brazil. We lived in Brazil at the time, and we were going to Rio, and it was nighttime as we pulled into Rio, and there was an anomalous something just in the sky right there in Copacabana, right near Copacabana. And my dad is the one who actually pointed it out. He was like, "What is that?" And we were at a loss.
And was it lights like you see in the videos? Like going like 1,000 miles an hour or
No,
something
just
like that?
sitting there over the.
Oh, really? Just hovering.
Yep, just hovering. So that was the
Okay.
first one. The second one I saw after we moved back to the States and I was a senior in high school, we used to get a lot of police reports where the police themselves were seeing UFOs out over a body of water, a lake not far from where I lived all the time. And so it was spring. It was, we had a choral group going and we walked out around, 9 o'clock at night. Afterwards, after we had finished at high school, we're in the back of the high school. There's a field behind us. And then I was with my best friend, and then the subdivision where my best friend lived, the street actually. And as soon as we walked out, we both saw this huge red ball blinking, just sitting in the sky right there over the houses or near the houses and just going on and off. And I said to her, I said, June, did they just put up a new tower? You go, the red off and on blinking lights for flying objects like airplanes and things. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that's tall has the red blinking light. Yeah.
Exactly. Except this was much bigger than the normal light. And I said, that is really weird. And she said, yeah. So we start, we're talking about boys, of course, and who he was dating who and all that. And my back was turned to it. So all of a sudden, the hair on the back of my neck just stood up and I felt really weird. And I felt compelled to turn around. And as I turned around, the thing just silently started going right across the houses. And my friend said, come on. I said, what do you mean, come on? She goes, we're going to follow it. So we ran to her car and it was going over her street, right? So we ran to her car and we followed it and then we lost it over some trees and some houses and neighborhoods. So that was the second time. And then since then, I have seen not so much here until we moved to Fredericksburg. I mean, I've seen UFOs here and there. Actually, the summer before that, I had spent in Spain, and that was in the summer of 75 or 74. And this is all in high school. So
Anuradha, by the way, has spent a significant amount of time in Spain, in case you want to connect on that.
So in that year, in 74, when 75, whichever year it was, and it must have been 75, they were having a huge sighting of UFOs. It was all over the television in Spanish. Some, they had kids' drawings of these beings that had come down on little silver things, and they were, talking. The kids had been talking, and it was all over the news. So anyway, what we would do is it was eastern, it was south of Valencia. My best friend from grade school, I was visiting her. They still lived in Europe, and we had grown up in Europe. And so, so we're right there near the sea. And so, like at 1 o'clock, from like 1 to 3 every morning, we would just watch these things go up and go that way. And, it was like a real show in the sky. So we were fascinated. And a lot of the people who lived in the area, it was Americans there, a lot of them were pilots. They had a second house there. So we'd had all these conversations going with these pilots about, what some of them had seen, what they hadn't seen, that kind of thing. And there were believers and non-believers. But then the weirdest stuff that I've seen has been within the last couple of years here in Fredericksburg, believe it or not. And last summer in Europe, again in Portugal. We were
Fredericksburg, Virginia, for
Fredericksburg,
listeners around
Virginia.
the world.
We've seen a bunch of them, and very high. Some of them very high, but the weirdest one is we were standing out on our balcony. This is 2 summers ago, and we had a glass of wine. We're just sitting there after dinner, and we're like, "This is so beautiful." And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and I mean nowhere, comes this thing that looks like, I don't know, kind of like an angelfish at the beginning. And then it was silvery and plasma and translucent. And the longer it went, it just disappeared so that you could see the ripples. It was really long. You could see it rippling, and it was gently going right across the sky. And I said to my husband, do you see that? And he goes, yeah. And I said, what the hell is that? He goes, I have no idea. I've never seen anything like it. It was definitely plasma. So it came out of like nowhere, and like half a mile later, it disappeared into nowhere. And we thought, what the heck is this? It was clearly from one dimension into our dimension and out of it. So it was really strange. And then last summer we were in Portugal, and we were right outside of Lisbon in Cascais, right on the sea there. And I was up. It was like 2 o'clock at night. I had the windows straight open, and I couldn't sleep. So I was looking out at the sea, and all of a sudden, these two, I would say, small, pretty small. They weren't that big. I don't think anyone was in them. I think they were drones. And they were flying and moving all weird right from the ocean and went right by me and did this big circle and went right back out to the ocean. And it was incredible. And it's like they were just having fun, but I think they were drones. I've never seen anything that's not a human drone. I know, so advanced, the technology, the way they looked was so weird. It was just wild. I have no explanation for any of it, but yeah, I've seen a lot of different things. So that's why I believe there's a lot of different stuff going on.
You have seen a lot of things. So are you willing to talk about the Martians and their invisibility thing, or is that not something you want to talk about?
Martians? I mean, from what I understand, so I'm obviously very interested in this, and I do follow people who have a lot of experience in this realm. And so, I mean, it really gets into the secret space program. So we've had a secret space program here on Earth for, since World War II. And the United States is in it. All the developed nations are part of it, right? And so, yeah.
So does that mean that these... So, what you've been talking about are things in the air, which appear to be some form of spacecraft or aircraft or what have you.
Right.
As opposed to actually seeing living things that are not Homo sapiens. And the argument goes, at least from the standpoint of the government, is, well, those things that, just because it's unidentified doesn't mean it's from another planet. It just means... True. It's unidentified. So it could be from China or Russia or India, or it could even be our guys.
Well,
right?
some of
because our guys don't share, lie to us all the time, right? No one told us about the atom bomb until after it was dropped.
Correct. They lie all the time.
Yeah.
And so, the fact of the matter is they have reverse engineered a lot of the technology, lower level technology from various beings that have crashed. Okay, there is a lot of that going on. Area 51 is known for that, a bunch of things, and some of the beings have actually survived, and they say some of them have died, some of them survived, who knows. But the fact of the matter is,
I saw Independence Day.
So some of it is from Earth, because we've reverse engineered enough of their technology to be able to do that. And but we still have a secret space program, and that's coming out.
When you say that, what where do you come by this knowledge?
So it is actually military.
I know you've worked a lot for the federal government and for the Department of Defense. Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, that's right. Primarily the Navy. The United States' Navy has been involved in this for a very long time. And it's like there's two navies, right? It's like, so they have their secret space. They all participate in this, and with France, with Germany, with it's a big deal. So I'm waiting for that to be made public, and the question is, when will that be made public? Because there are people who are really talking about it now, guys who have done their time and they're out and they're allowed to talk about it. There's one guy who's on, if you ever find him on Instagram or whatever, he goes by JP, but he's a military, he's a U.S. Army. He has been many places with them. He served, and they're allowing him to speak now about all of his, he is speaking with the prompting from the U.S. military, because they're trying to get people to understand now, to get ready for us. Our next big thing is space, right? So they want to start slowly bringing this in. So Disclosure Day is coming out, Trump's, it's all coordinated, right? It's no coincidence that at all. Yeah, it's coordinated.
You think Spielberg coordinated with the White House?
On some level, they had to have coordinated,
or Universal Studios.
Yeah, right. Exactly, because
he's
it's all
a director.
planned.
Not that. Yeah.
Right. Not at the director level. Right.
Yeah,
but no, it's all coordinated. They are pushing. Space is. We're going, and we've been there, but now things are changing, and it's going to become public. So we've been working with beings from other planets. Some of them are humanoid, some of them are not. Earth is very much,
So
unfortunately.
people within the government, you've had conversations with them about this when you were working for them?
Well, only in the sense that have some of them seen this kind of thing, and do they know about it? Some people do. I have friends that whose boyfriends and significant others were in that program. So yeah, no, this is very real, and some of it's good, some of it's not. It is getting better. The more that there's transparency, the better it will be for humanity, because the people who ran the thing, the Germans, actually, as it turns out, worked with the aliens first. And so after World War II,
those
they
fucking Germans, man.
Yeah, right.
World War I, World War II.
Right.
Jesus, they sacked Rome. Good Lord.
Yeah. Well, they took everything to the Antarctic, which is very interesting. And yeah, so they were there, but everyone's gotten in on it. But the Germans ran a very not a great. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. If you really want to go into that, that's a different show. But
Okay.
anyway, it is becoming transparent, and hopefully, Earth, there really is a galactic federation, right? So, what's his name, who did Star Trek? He apparently,
Gene Roddenberry?
Gene Roddenberry apparently was in contact. Even back then, they were beginning
In
to prepare.
1967?
Yeah, beginning to prepare humans for what was to come. So, it is coming.
The
You
same
can't
people
stop it.
that put Lieutenant Uhura in a miniskirt, which made me a man, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
No, so
All I'm
two
saying
things
is,
go out. Well, I got to worry about this, and I got to,
Yeah.
see some
Yeah.
panties. So
yeah, it's interesting. But the Star Wars is based on the Orion Wars, and if you ever get into it, I'm sure you down the line, the history
Star
is
Wars, the George Lucas Star Wars.
It's
Or,
actually
I'm sorry,
based
now it's
on
Disney.
on reality. It's called the Orion Wars, and they were. So Earth has a very different history than what we've been told, and that's what comes out of it, and that's why they haven't really gone into it, because the people who've had control over that, they're not people, right? They're from a different planet, and they don't look like us, and that's all I'll say about it. But they've been controlling things for a very long time. They're losing control now. Humanity is stepping up, controlling things,
not just
yes.
influencing or collaborating.
No,
You're saying
controlling. They are
everything that
very
happens on this planet is
controlled. Yep.
So,
unfortunately.
So this terrible, terrible, terrible job that has been happening for so many centuries and thousands of years is the responsibility. So it's not us being complete idiots, which apparently we are. It's these other guys.
Well, we've been
superior
programmed.
beings.
Yeah, we've been controlled and programmed to do what they want, the way they want it. So, but that's changing now, and so that really is changing. So it's coming out in dribs and drobes. It's coming out slowly, but it is coming out, and I fully expect within the next 50 years that it'll be completely different, and history will be known. Yeah,
well,
it is moving in that direction.
I won't be here in 50 years.
So
no, I won't probably
Anuradha
either.
will probably be,
but you might be.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I mean, what do you think of all this, Anuradha? I mean, those are some pretty. Those are big time allegations. What do you think?
I'm just so fascinated. I want to have conversations with you every day, Maria, and just text you in the morning and at night, and like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, it's just so mind blowing, because I did always find it that it was like BS, that there wasn't enough transparency. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like the whole aspect of what they choose to keep transparent, and like, you know what I mean? Like for example, if I look someone up, all their private information, things that I don't feel should be out there, is out there, right? And their privacy, their security is not of concern. Yet things that I feel we should have a right to know about, because we will most likely encounter it, it's just there's just such a lack of transparency, and I just feel like that's so unfair.
It
You
is.
know?
It's completely unfair, and it's just all about control, and that's because of this group from the Orion constellation that has been really running the show for thousands of years. But they're, as I said, they are losing control now, and humanity is stepping up, and it's a big change, big, big, big. So they're going very slowly because the people who have been in control don't want to lose control, and there's been a lot of fights going on, and it's been very interesting to hear the
Mhm.
people who are involved in all of that, especially the military, right?
Yeah, of course.
The humans involved in that from Earth, talking about that. Very, very interesting. Yeah, but it is changing, and so yep, at some point, Earth will fully be in charge, be run by humans, and not by beings from other planets, basically.
I'm just
Yeah.
interested, like, what is bringing the change? Like, what's having us, like, step up and...
Well, I can tell you that part of it is, so everything in space moves, right? Everything is a cycle, everything.
Mhm.
And so,
You're talking about entropy. Everything is in constant motion.
everything
Yeah.
like the Earth goes around the sun, our whole solar system, our whole galaxy, everything moves.
Right.
Everything's got,
Right.
and there are cycles. And so there are it's a 26,000 year cycle, basically, to go fully around, whatever that is. But anyway, where Earth is right now, and this has to do a lot with climate change, is we're in a position right now, and apparently will be for the next 2,000 years, much more indirect with the central sun of our galaxy, which means we're getting a lot more light. And because light is frequency, it's all everything's energy, right? So the energetic vibration,
Electromagnetic spectrum, man.
Yep, exactly.
I
It's
always
going up.
preach that. Yeah.
That's right. But the beings from the Orion group who've been running the show, so it's going up to what they predict will be the fifth dimension. We're in the third dimension now. So we're as the frequency rises, Earth rises in frequency because it's going faster, the energy. And they don't go there. They can't. They're not from here. They can't. They don't. Their bodies are apparently not tuned to that, and so they're dropping off. That's the major reason why things are changing, because they can't survive in the fifth dimension. But Earth will. And so we're going. And it's a long process, but it's moving slowly, but you can't stop it. It's just part of nature. So that's what's happening. And so when they tell you that it's all, human intervention and global, it's all us, it isn't all us. It's nature. Not that we haven't contributed, because we have, but not on that scale. And so it's a major deal. Major. This hasn't happened in eons. So it's a really wild time to be here on Earth. Things are getting better despite all the chaos. Humanity is stepping up. Our consciousness is being raised. It's phenomenal when you hear people becoming aware of what's going on. You see it all over the place. It's like things are really changing fast.
Yeah.
So it's very, your child will have a very different life than what Dad and I did at the same, as we grew up. Very different.
Sure.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That's crazy. Very crazy. Hello, Scandal Sheeters. I'm one of your hosts, Anuradha. I want to ask you a personal favor. We recently launched on Patreon. Patreon is a platform where you can help support artists like us for as little as the price of one Starbucks coffee per month. It's really cool because as a Scandal Sheet subscriber, we can provide you with exclusive bonus content like uncut versions of episodes, transcripts, and bonus episodes. And you get to know Thad and I on a more personal level and stay tuned with all our antics. It's super easy to do. Just go to patreon.com/Scandal Sheet and sign up. It takes only seconds. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Scandal Sheet. You'd really be doing me a favor because Thad owes me money, freaking deadbeat. Thank you, wonderful Scandal Sheeters. Now on with our show.
So I'm going to play some clips here that came out recently because a lot of this material that was released through the White House just came out.
An excerpt from a recent NBC News broadcast provided here under fair use, courtesy NBC Universal and Comcast Corporation.
Tonight, newly released UFO files, like this one in Kazakhstan, a mysterious object lighting up the night sky. Other videos showing pulsing balls of light flying erratically and seeming to defy laws of physics. Some even appearing to fly in formations. Part of the Pentagon's release of more than 50 declassified videos and first-hand accounts following President Trump's directive to release government UFO files.
Very bright particles or fragments or something.
The files include audio of astronauts decades ago describing mysterious bright lights and particles.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of big ones out my window there. Just bright. Looks like the 4th of July out Ron's window.
And this report from last year. In an encounter that lasted over an hour, a U.S. intelligence officer reported oval-shaped orange orbs coming within 10 feet of a U.S. helicopter, splitting in two and speeding away, leaving military and intelligence professionals speechless. Other videos may have an explanation. Here, a U.S. F-16 fighter jet shoots down an object over Michigan's Lake Huron in 2023, the same day the Pentagon said it shot down a possible Chinese spy balloon over that lake. Experts tell us no video released so far proves any extraterrestrial visit.
There's nothing in any of these that proves anything about alien life. All it shows you is that there's stuff in the sky that initially can't be explained.
This was the Pentagon's second release of UFO files, and they're expected to roll out the next one in the coming weeks.
So, ladies, we have been told that other than the videos themselves, and the clips are going to have a lot of the video evidence in it, it's going to take a long time to analyze all the newly released documents. However, Anuradha, someone in the government did release a statement. Can you read that for us?
Yeah, sure. So officials stress that the files do not contain a definitive evidence of extraterrestrial life or alien technology, but rather represent a massive archive of lingering mysteries for the public and researchers to study.
So, I mean, I guess you've sort of addressed this, Maria. I mean, what do you guys make of that?
It's laughable.
Okay. All right.
Really? They really think that we're going to swallow that now? Come on.
It's like an insult to our intelligence.
It actually is.
Not saying who.
Yeah.
There are some people that are going to blindly be like, yes, that makes sense.
The mysteries. Everything's a mystery.
No, I love lingering mysteries for public and researchers to study.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone's going to buy it anymore. It's not from China. It's not some balloon that they've released. Come on. Yeah, I mean, it's all falling flat. They're trying, believe me, they are still trying to hold power, right? They're trying to keep us down as long as they can, but we are rising. Humanity is rising, and we will not be under their thumb much longer.
So can we talk about Steven Spielberg? Now, before his brand new movie Disclosure Day came out, which I've not seen. I
haven't either.
Okay. Although, you can read the reviews and stuff like that. We know what it's about. He had previously made 3 movies about alien life on Earth. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was also about collaboration of aliens in the U.S. government. E.T., the extraterrestrial, and, kind of on the other end of the spectrum, War of the Worlds was sort of a remake of the H.G. Wells people from Mars trying to destroy us and kill us and whatever. So that was 3 movies, but it's 7 because if you count the Men in Black franchise, which is the comedy sci-fi thing about aliens, which he produced all 4 of them. So, a lot of people say, well, Steven Spielberg has done more than any other human being ever to promote the ideas of ETs living among us. I mean, when his movie Close Encounters came out, that just exploded the whole interest in UFOs and things. That was 1977, right? And of course, his movies have been very compelling and, seen by billions of people. Normally when he does a movie, he pretty much leaves it to the stars to do the promotion, to go on all the TV shows and the talk shows and what have you. But even, at 80 years old, this is like a passion project for him. So he is out there pitching this fucking movie like crazy. He's like on every podcast I listen to. He's on every TV show. He's on everything and just pitching this movie, man. He really, really, really feels passionate about this. So, since Anuradha has only been alive for less than half of Steven Spielberg's movies, Maria, I'm starting with you. And I'm avoiding spoilers, but is Spielberg helping or hurting what you think we should believe about aliens?
I think he's helping. I mean, I think he's getting people used to the idea that there is life elsewhere. Of course, there's life elsewhere. It's mathematically impossible for there not to be. There's so many planets, right?
Yeah, I was going to put the Drake equation into this, and I didn't get around to it. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think he is helping. What he's not, he's falling short, and I don't think he's allowed to. I don't think the script would have been greenlit had he actually told the truth about who the bad guys are. But it's the it's the beings from the other planet who control everything, right? And they certainly control Hollywood. Make no mistake. So everything that they tell us that gets put out in the media is a coordinated effort to advance whatever they want you to believe. But they do. It's just so convoluted. But yeah, in a way, he's very much helping people get used to the fact that there is life elsewhere. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, having, listened to, 10 of these interviews with him, and he just kind of throws himself out there and he lets, somebody like Anuradha's age ask him anything, ask about, any of his old movies or, was about the shark in Jaws or whatever, and he'll answer it. But the thing is, he's passionate in his belief that but like me, he's never seen a UFO in his entire life. And he's been, let me finish though. He's been asking people, he's been saying, look, bring me photographic, bring me anything, please, God, bring me any kind of proof. And and now maybe he's lying. It's not like he's hooked up to a lie detector, but he seems, and I would love, Maria, all the stuff that you talked about. Holy crap. If I had one of those things happen to me, I would make my life. But, it just, they haven't. So I would love to believe it. I would love to believe it. But it just had, but at the same time, even though he has never personally experienced anything, he still does all these movies.
Well, I have a feeling that he knows a lot more than he's allowed to say, right? He's being very political.
You're saying he's lying.
Fine. No, I'm not lying. He's just not telling the whole truth. And that's fine. Again, it's being rolled out in stages, right? They do want people to get used to the idea that there is life elsewhere and that it's positive, not negative, which is interesting. And much of it is positive. It's not, I mean, I will say that the beings from the Orion constellation, those particular ones who've been running Earth, first of all, they're not human. Okay. And I'm not going to say what they are, but we'll let that go for another time. But they have been working with human beings for eons. Right. And so we are absolutely, in bed with these beings because of the people, the government officials who know everything, right? They don't talk about it because they're not allowed to. So he's not allowed to either. He can, of course, he knows that there's life elsewhere. Of course, he believes it, but he'll never even say what I said because he's in a position that he can't. He can put the movie out, but he can't tell the truth. So his movie is partially true, and it's partially not.
It's
true.
about the government trying to cover up the existence of aliens. I mean,
That's right,
it's
and that's what they've been doing.
A chase heist movie.
Right.
You know, it's been compared to North by Northwest because
Right.
two people figure out the truth, and now the
Right.
government's after them to stop them from telling everybody.
They've been after everyone to stop everyone, haven't
But
they?
the movie is telling everybody. I mean, 8.5 billion people now know. So
Right. But what he's not saying is the government behind the government, because there's a global government behind the government
Yeah.
that sets the precedent for everything, and they control everything. And that's a very small group, but they're very technologically advanced and they're very powerful and have been to date. As I said, though, as the vibration goes up, they're losing their power and humanity is stepping into its power. So it's a real crisscross. And that's where we find ourselves today. And that's what's happening. It is amazing.
okay,
Very
so
exciting. Yeah.
I'm going to go off the rundown a little bit because we sort of ran out things I didn't actually get in there. So, you know, one of the things that Bernice mentioned earlier was, so, I mean, you had the Roswell incident and you had some other sightings, you know, in the 40s and 50s. And of course, Hollywood started making movies about aliens coming to Earth, right? There was an early version of War of the Worlds and there was one where, you know, peaceful aliens came and tried to stop us from making nuclear bombs or whatever. But when things really exploded was in 1968. This, and Maria, I was 6. I don't know, maybe you were 7 or something like that.
I was 10.
Oh, you were 10. Okay. There was a book that came out and was called Chariot of the Gods.
Yeah. I've read it. Yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it was, you know, it was an international bestseller. I never read the actual book because, you know, at 6, I wasn't like reading adult books. You know, I was still reading Goodnight Moon.
It's Eric von Däniken. He just died.
Oh, he just died. Okay.
He just died. Yeah.
And he's a fascinating guy because he was a convicted felon, right? He was a con man. He was an embezzler. He actually wrote that book while he was in prison.
Interesting.
And it was, you know, and the thing is, you know, critics would, you know, said, well, this is all pseudoscience and he made it up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, he's laughing all the way to the bank because he made like 5 other sequels. They turned it into a feature film. And this is where you get the beginnings, or at least in the larger population, of the ideas that ancient aliens built pyramids and Easter Island and things like that. And then I went back to look at, you know, do you ever watch this TV series on Anuradha? It's called Ancient Aliens on the History Channel.
Oh gosh, yes. I watched that.
It's been going for 22 years, continuously, 22 years. And when I first got cable, I was like, this is cool. This is cool. And then I realized they just kept recycling the same stuff. They're basically taking that book and some other books that came after and just doing it over and over again with different PhDs going, well, there's a very good possibility.
Well, let me tell you something about that, because what really brought Eric von Däniken, why I got so interested in him, and he really did grow as a person who, you know, he did evolve over his
while he was in prison.
I mean, it's interesting. He had a lot of photographs, but when we came back from Brazil and I was in high school, my dad wanted to see Machu Picchu in Peru. So we went up to Cusco, and right above Cusco is Sacsayhuaman. And Sacsayhuaman it's on some of the shows, but anyway, it's built by, they don't even know who built it. It's so old. Each stone, I mean, you walk along this thing. I was there. And it's cut by lasers. These stones are about, I don't know, like 16 tons each. It's 12,000. It's over 12. We're at a height of over 12,000 feet up there in the Andes. And they have no idea. It's so old. They have no idea who built it. They know where the stones came from. Okay. But they have no idea how they could have moved them. Right.
No. And that's the basis of the argument is Stonehenge,
All
all
that
this stuff. It's
stuff.
like, how
Pyramids.
could these
Yeah.
ancient people
Right.
possibly do this
Well, I'll tell you.
5,000 years ago? And
It's interesting because one of the last scripts I wrote for the Navy, of all people,
dun, dun,
or NASA, yeah, and maybe it was NASA, was on anti-gravity. And they were doing
anti-gravity.
So moving things through sound also. And so they were doing tests with it. And I wrote the script on that one. It was, and they were doing a lot of tests on anti-gravity and moving things through sound up in space, like on the shuttle rides. And so I was hired to write the script, and that was in the 1990s, late 1990s. So they've been at this a while, but they know how to move things through sound, and they know how to move things through anti-gravity and antimatter. They have it all. They have all of it, right? But they
I've heard of antimatter. I didn't know there was anti-gravity.
Oh, absolutely. I wrote the script on that one.
Okay.
And absolutely.
That one up.
So that's how they did it, right? They had technologies that became lost to humanity because of the beings who controlled the planet, who wanted to keep us down. So there were a lot of we can do a whole thing on Earth's history, right? That's really fascinating.
Well, that's going to be a long podcast, I think, Maria.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's tied together. You can't separate the UFOs from history, and it's a long one. So the technologies that have come and gone, the civilizations that have come and gone, it's fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating. Yeah.
Okay, now let me throw one more thing at you before we leave. I know everybody wants to get on with the day, but not in the rundown. Anyways, a premier psychiatrist who actually was Sigmund Freud, which I think most people have heard of. This guy Sigmund Freud was a mentor to this guy. His name is Carl Jung.
I know him quite well.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Perception is projection.
Okay. Are you familiar that he wrote an entire book about, it's called Flying Saucers, something. I don't have the exact title here. He wrote it in response to, because, the Roswell incident in 1947, so he wrote it in the 50s, the 1950s. And, just observing the mass hysteria that came out of that, all, the news and media and the Project Blue Book and all this other stuff. And, and of course, and his idea was that, according to him, this big psychologist, that our belief, everything that we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes, is really based on, Cold War anxiety and our, fear, our like internal fear, existential dread, that only really started after World War II. And, there were atom bombs and Cold Wars and Russia and everything else. And that somehow, we had replaced God. We had feared God for thousands and thousands of years. Now we fear aliens or hope they come in and save us. I mean, so that was what his whole book is about. He never really takes a stance on whether he really thinks there are extraterrestrials or not as an actual thing. He's really just saying that our belief, everything we've been talking about, is all bullshit and it's all up here. What do you guys think of that?
I think that some people do believe that. I'm not saying I do, but I'm pretty sure there are people who do believe that. So
who believe what?
Who believe that
it's in
aliens are going to, or who that, well, there are people who don't believe that aliens exist, right? There are people who think aliens are coming to save them. It's like, I mean, it runs the gamut, right? It just runs the gamut. That's humanity. We have a lot of beliefs, so I can't say what's true or not.
But there is such a thing as empirical evidence. I mean, the sun rises, it sets. I mean, we're all sitting here. There must be gravity, otherwise we'd be floating. But,
Right.
There are things that are empirically real, right?
Well, I mean, there is life everywhere, right? Everything is there's just life everywhere. Everything is consciousness. Everything is energy. Energy moves, right? And so I don't know what to say except that there's life everywhere. How it manifests, in what form, varies. It just does. So here on Earth, we're human. But we are spirits having a human existence, right? We're spiritual beings, eternal spiritual beings having a physical human experience. But when we die, we leave the body behind, and we don't see ourselves as human. We see ourselves as consciousness, as spiritual beings. So I don't know what else to say. I don't limit myself because God's not limited, and we aren't either. We're made in the image of God. So everything is consciousness, is energy, and it's forever. So
I always love the Woody Allen joke where he says, "Hey, look, am I made in the image of God?" And Diane Keaton goes, "Does he wear glasses?" She goes, "Not with those frames."
I feel like
right.
I just feel
Go
like
ahead,
there's a frustration because there's a point where people just stop thinking for themselves and they just kind of blindly follow whatever is being told,
Yeah.
right? And like if you would use your common sense and look around and, question things and get curious and be open and say, okay, the pyramids, how did they come? Like this, that, whatnot. Like think about it instead of just, I think that there's just a fear of like, well, what does it mean if I believe this? Are people going to think I'm crazy? Is someone going to show up at my door and like, erase my memory? Like, that kind of thing, which is stopping people from being open, from being curious, you know what I mean? And I feel like this fear is like, it goes into aliens, it goes into those kinds of things, but I also feel like I've noticed it in general. It's with a lot of things. Like people are very scared to admit, like what I did earlier, like, oh yes, I feel, a spirit touching me. I feel like people are scared to admit that, because they don't know what it means. They don't know what people are going to perceive, and it's just sad when there is so much proof, so much evidence of other life around us. We don't know if on another planet there are people that look kind of like us that are talking about the same thing. They just maybe have like, I don't know, an eye here or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like we just don't know, and I
We
feel like
haven't
I
met
have
them
to.
all.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
Yeah.
there's so many different planets. And to sit here and be like, well, there isn't life on other. It's just like at this point in time, at this age, to still be saying that, it's a little bit shameful. It's a little bit embarrassing. You know what I mean? I feel like I have to plug this in because it was actually a really good movie. So there was an Indian movie. This director took a very, very different plunge into the alien thing. And Indian movies have never actually touched on that subject. So
Okay,
there
we're
was this
talking a
director.
Bollywood type movie, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there was this. So there was this director. His name is Rakesh Roshan, and he put
Okay.
his son Hrithik Roshan in the movie,
Oh, good.
and it's called and I'll type it out. It's called Koi Mil Gaya, and it was kind of like this kid who is mentally challenged, and he meets an alien, and that alien actually gives him strength and actually gives him these abilities that to that alien it's normal, but in the human world it's like, oh my god, what is, like, he's super strong and he's super this, you know what I mean? And then there's actually a series. So after that movie, they had actually I think either they reduced down the taxes or they removed the taxes so everybody would watch it. And after
They
that, there's
remove
been
the
a series.
taxes.
Yeah, so in India, it became so popular, and the message it was giving was so powerful that they actually wanted everybody to watch it. They reduced down the ticket price, like they had significantly cut
You're saying
costs
the
so
government
people would
stepped
see it.
in so that everybody could see it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it was crazy because, it was like unheard of. And now they've created more series. So now the guy who had, some intellectual disabilities, he meets someone and he has a son, and that son is very, very powerful because he's born with the thing, so he becomes a super. So they've made like movies after it.
So
It's
this has
fantastic.
become like a big franchise in
It's
India.
become a huge franchise, and
Okay,
it's absolutely fantastic. And since
Wow.
then, now India touches that subject more often because now they know, okay, like it's a little bit more open. We're a little, we can talk about these kinds of things. So
Yeah.
I just find that whole thing fascinating. I mean, I know that there's documentaries saying like my gods, my Indian gods are actually aliens from other planets.
Correct.
So they're
And they're actually, the
it's
Indians are
interesting.
very advanced in that regard, because even on Ancient Aliens or whatever, you will have interviews with Indian
Yeah.
professors and Indian, people who study this
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
and very much so. So, yeah, humanity labeled them as gods because they came from the sky and they had
Yeah.
technology and powers that the humans on Earth didn't have at the time. But absolutely, that's where we get a lot of our
Which you would.
religious beliefs.
That would be
Yeah.
a natural reaction. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my
And it's
God,
fascinating.
there wasn't even an airplane until 1903, and it only
Yeah.
flew for 59 seconds. And now
Yeah.
we get on jets and go all over the world.
Mhm. Yep.
So, I mean, so anything that
amazing.
came out of the sky,
Yeah.
a few hundred years ago or 1,000 years ago, they would have probably said, holy shit.
It's
Well, they saw
crazy.
them as gods, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
other explanation could there be? Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
it's insane because like thousands and thousands of years ago when, like my religious scriptures were created,
Mhm.
when they're describing how the god is traveling, they are describing something that no one could have possibly known or imagined, So it's just, I just feel like everything is connected,
It is.
So
Yeah.
going
It
back
is.
to my point,
Yeah.
to sit here and still say we're the only beings, it's really silly at this point,
Agreed.
you know?
Agreed. Yeah.
So, guys, I've kept you a long time. And just in terms of wrapping this up, is there anything big that we missed that you want to talk about?
I just think we should all prepare for true disclosure within the next couple of years. That it will.
True disclosure.
Yeah,
Not
in the
disclosure
media, they
day.
will have to disclose that actually we have been working with beings from other planets, that we do have a space force. That's why we have the Space Force, right? Yeah, all of this has been in preparation for disclosure. Humanity is heading into space. I mean, much more so than we have been. And that's the future. So we're going.
And I'm excited about it. I think that we should have that disclosure. I don't think that we should be scared or feel, you know what I mean? And we are owed that. I think we're owed that transparency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, if the aliens had wanted to office because they're so technologically advanced, the ones, who've been doing all this, they would have done it by now. They're not. Good things are happening. Good things are happening for this planet. And you just have to have faith that we are moving forward and we are evolving into a much more advanced consciousness on this planet, which is great.
Good things are happening to this planet.
They're coming.
Okay.
I mean, everything. Look, there's a lot of chaos as things fall, as the old things disappear, right?
You are an optimist, Maria.
Yeah, of course I am. It's optimistic. I mean, good. I'm not saying that bad things won't happen. Of course, we're here on Earth, right? Of course, it's always going to be that way. But nothing's going to stop the trajectory of humanity rising and Earth flourishing, is what I'm saying. And a lot of that will be because we are out in space, and it'll be a whole new civilization, basically.
All right. Well. Great
exciting
note
time
to end on this.
Yeah.
So, Maria, I want to thank you for joining us and sharing your opinions. And
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Maria
you.
Barnes,
Thanks for having
everybody.
me.
Please follow or subscribe to Scandal Sheet on your favorite pod platform. And share it with all your friends. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a shameless, over-the-top rave review on Apple Podcasts especially. That helps us build audience. And we would really appreciate it if you could support us on Patreon, where you can enjoy premium bonus content for less than the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Just go to patreon.com/scandalsheet. Also, we want to hear from you. You can reach us online at Facebook or X, formerly Twitter, LinkedIn, or TikTok. Or just send us an email to scandalsheetpod@gmail.com. See you next time on Scandal Sheet!
Copyright 2026 Thad Helsley Media, LLC, all rights reserved. Thad Helsley Media produces not only podcasts for clients, but also custom videos, animations, and explainers for businesses, nonprofits, government, authors, and literally anyone that has a message or cause they want to promote. Contact us at any of the numbers in the liner notes. Thank you for your support.